Good morning, everyone. This is the Lance Anderson Tuesday football press conference ahead of this Saturday's game at home versus current number 9 and number 11th ranked Central Arkansas. Kickoff inside Greater Zion Stadium is set for 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Game will be streamed live on ESPN Plus and also on the radio on the Fan Sports Network 99.5 FM. The Trailblazer Sports Vision pregame show will start at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, live on YouTube. Couple of news and notes from last week. So we can bring in one more person before I do that. Couple of notes from last week. Sophomore safety Brevin Hamlin became the United Athletic Conference leader in total tackles with 73 after he posted a co-game high 11 tackles against Eastern Kentucky last Saturday. It was his fourth straight double-digit tackle effort. True freshman Bronson Barbin posted his second two-touchdown game and threw for a career-high 231 yards against Eastern Kentucky. Sophomore running back Kona Crowell recorded career highs in all-purpose yards with 74, rushing yards with 34, and receiving yards with 40 at EKU last Saturday. This Saturday's game against Central Arkansas will be the first ever meet between the Bears and the Trailblazers on the gridiron. And it'll mark the first of 4 straight weeks that the Trailblazers will be in the Beehive State, as they will close out the season with 2 home games and the season finale up at Southern Utah later in November. Currently, Utah Tech is ranked first in the UAC in passing yards per game defensively, giving it 194.4 yards per game. That includes 75 yards allowed last week against Eastern Kentucky, which was the 8th lowest single game total in Utah Tech's 4-year era. One other note, this Saturday's game against Central Arkansas will be the Trailblazers' 200th NCAA era football game, since we made the jump to NCAA play back in 2006. And with that, we'll open it up with a comment from Coach Anderson and then questions after that. Coach.
So we look back at Eastern Kentucky again. It's always disappointing with the loss, but I think there were some positive things that we can build on, starting with the offense. I thought we were more efficient running the football. We saw both, Kona Crowell and Asa Chapman with some real positive runs. I think Bronson Barbin continues to improve as a quarterback. It was great to see Josh Rillo step up with 7 receptions and did a lot of good things. It was encouraging for the second week in a row to really be in a game in the fourth quarter. But again, you get in those critical stages of the game, you need stops on defense, you need to finish drives on offense, and we just came up a little bit short in those areas. But we just got to keep building. As we turn to this week with Central Arkansas, it only gets tougher. This is another really good football team, really quality team. We have definitely have to show improvement from the last couple of weeks in order to be able to compete with them. But we welcome the challenge. It's another good football team, and we're excited to be at home and take the field on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, questions for Coach.
Coach, when you look back at Saturday's game, you just, if and wishes and all that kind of stuff, because you had a couple of drop balls on big third down plays, an open receiver that probably would have scored. You were 3 for 3 in the red zone, but one of those was a field goal. So you lost by 11, but you probably left about 18 points that you would like to get on the scoreboard. So you're right there and still a chance.
Oh, exactly. That's what's frustrating, because that's kind of been the story of the season. If we don't give up that, fumble return for a touchdown, we convert some of those other opportunities. Yeah, again, it could be a different game, but that's been the case many games this year. So again, we just have to find a better way to finish. We got to be better with our execution. But again, the opportunities are there. I see that there is improvement, and we just got to keep grinding, got to keep pushing, and keep working to get better. Devin, I think you're muted.
Coach, sorry about that. I was on mute.
I got you.
Hey,
now.
Talk to me about the running back position a little bit. 2 weeks ago it was Bretton Stone and Nigel Osborne getting most of the carries. This week, Asa and then Kona get most of the reps. Is that just part of getting these guys experience, trying to see what guys can do to build for the future? Take me through that.
Well, unfortunately, it's been more of a product of guys being banged up and not able to go, with Chris Street out. I mean, we expected Breton to be able to go, but then that was a game time. He started to warm up and couldn't go. So the encouraging thing, though, is the guys who have been available have, stepped up and performed well, whether it was, Breton when he's had his opportunities, Kona really this week with his. Asa in just a few games this year when he's had touches, he's made the most of that. Nigel Osborne when he's had opportunities, he's run the ball hard. So we'd love to have that whole group healthy, but we're a little banged up. We hope maybe to get more of those guys back this week, and if that's the case, then we kind of we'll have each guy with maybe a little bit different role and try to spread those touches around. But it's been nice that at least when guys have been down, others have stepped up and they've been productive.
Coach, talk about your secondary play. You had three of your top defenders out in Jagger and Valenzuela and Sheridan, and still held them to a few yards passing. What does that say about your guys, your depth, and just their determination to step up?
That was definitely a concern last week once we realized those guys were all going to be down. And you have to give a lot of credit to like Kyle Parker and Jeremiah Jamo, where both those guys are true freshmen, really playing. In fact, they were playing on defense for the very first time in their careers, and they start the game and they held up well. It wasn't perfect, but they really stepped up and competed. We moved Scooter Jackson inside and played the nickel position, and I think he covered very well there. We got good performances from both safeties, Brevin Hamlin and Quincy Leger. So that was positive. And we were very worried about Eastern Kentucky's throwing game going in. They've been very effective there. Now, conversely, we didn't do a good enough job stopping the run, especially in the second half. But in terms of coverage and matchups there, I think we did a great job, and a couple, freshmen really stepping up and, did a very, very solid job on Saturday. So again, I think there's some things we can build on, but again, our story for the season is we have to be better stopping the run. I think there was good signs in the first half. Second half was a little spotty. We got to finish stronger there.
And Coach, talking about stopping the run this week, you got one of the top rushing teams in the country. You got the leader in the nation, the running back in all-purpose yards. Here you go again.
Oh, exactly. We've seen this a few times this year. And Powell is an outstanding running back, and he does a great job catching the ball out of the backfield as well. Really good runner. So yeah, we are going to have our hands full. That's for sure.
Coach, what you've coached a lot of quarterbacks in your days. This is not your first rodeo. Where does Bronson Barbin rank among freshmen that, have limited experience coming off a mission? I'm like, how do you put that into perspective? And talk maybe about the upside and the progression that we could see in the years to come with Bronson.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of upside, a lot of potential. And it's impressive what he's doing as a true freshman, just as poised as he is, as calm as he is, how he can just go out there and again, a lot of the great quarterbacks I've been around, like even Andrew Luck, we were able to redshirt Andrew as a freshman at Stanford, and those guys all had that opportunity to, sit on the bench, learn, and especially a guy like Bronson, where he didn't get home from his mission until the middle of June. And so that's the very, very first time that he's back, throwing and getting into football. And so I think it's impressive. I think he's got a lot of tools. He has, great size. He moves around well, as you've seen, very strong arm. And so I think there's a lot of things to build on. Every week he gets better. He's learning things every week. So I think he's got a great future here for us.
Coach, with all the injuries that you've had so far up to this point in the season, it is that time of year where a lot of teams do get a little banged up. But tell me about the next man up mentality that you have right now with the rosters.
I think that the team has really embraced that, and just understanding that, hey, when your number is called, you need to be prepared. And the expectation is that you're going to go in and you're going to play at a high level. There's not going to be drop off. Now, naturally there might be a little bit, and there has been. But, we talked about the running backs earlier. We talked about the DBs. You know, we've had some, you know, injuries on the offensive line, defensive line, linebacker. And so all season long, guys have had those opportunities. And again, it has not all been perfect. Obviously, you know, you look at our record and where we are, but those guys who've gone out there, they have been prepared. They've competed. I think they've given their very best. And that's all I can ask. And as we continue to build this program, I think our depth is going to be better. We're going to be better prepared. We're going to be more developed. But I appreciate the efforts that those guys who have had to fill in for injured guys. I appreciate what they've done, and that's going to pay off in the future too. You get better at football by playing football, and all these reps these young guys are getting with some of those injuries, I know it will pay off in the future.
And coach, when you look at their defense, you're probably going to go up against the best defensive player that you'll face all season long in David Walker, two-time conference player of the year, three-time All-American. Is there any different strategy, or do you pick him out and say, okay, we got to run away from him, pass away from him? And then also the second part of that question, do you have your guys say, look, this is where we want to get to. This is the kind of player that we need, and we want you guys to be to emulate.
Yeah. So yeah, with David Walker, I mean, he is an outstanding player. He's very disruptive on the defensive side of the ball. You look at his numbers, just the tackles for loss, the sacks. I mean, he is an outstanding football player. And again, without giving away a lot of game plans, I mean, you have to be aware of him. You can't. He's too good of a football player. I mean, he is a dominant defensive player in our conference. And so you've got to do a few things differently because of him. You have to just be aware of him. And yeah, you got to change a few of the things that you do just because of that. And yes, I mean, you see a football player like that, you see the impact he has on that team, on that defense. You know, that sends a message to our guys of, hey, yes, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want to develop you guys into. This is what we want to turn you into. And then for us as coaches, it's like, yeah, that's the kind of player that we are out searching for, a guy that can come in and have this kind of an impact because, you know, again, the better players you have, the better coaches you are, and the easier it is to have success. So yeah, we would love to find someone like David Walker for sure.
And you have an impact player, Brevin Hamlin, just the last month. Just talk about how incredible he's been and what he means, and hopefully it rubs off onto a few of your guys.
You know, he is so consistent, just a guy that does things right. He comes to work every day. I mean, he has missed very little time, you know, since I've been here. I mean, whether it's a workout, it's a meeting. I mean, he's always there. He's always on time. And sure, he might be a little banged up and beat up, but yeah, he's going to find a way to get through it. And Brevin just does so many good things, like just with his size, length, range. He does a great job in coverage. He's good in the middle of the field. But we've used him a lot, as you can see, the last few weeks, getting him down in the box, getting him in position to make tackles, because we know he is a physical kid. He's a very reliable tackler. Yeah, he does a great job, and I mean, we're very proud of, you know, what he's accomplished, and we know he has great things ahead of him here as well.
Coach, I've been impressed that every time I talk to a student athlete, the morale's high. They're not giving up. You haven't lost the locker room. You're 0-9. So congratulations to you and your staff. I know that's a weird thing to congratulate, but that's hard to do. What have you identified and what have you learned about this process being here in your first year? What have you learned about the conference and the makeup of this team that can help you guys, you know, win a game down the stretch? I'm sure that's a priority, and then get into the offseason and try to regroup for next year.
Yeah, so just starting with the locker room and the morale, the work ethic, things like that. I mean, that's something especially that started to really hit me middle of the season, that you start to worry about, like, hey, we're not having that immediate success that we hope to have. And after these guys went through the off season and worked so hard and put in so much time, and they felt like, oh, coach, this is way better than what we've done before. We're working hard. We're doing the right things. And it's hard when you don't get those results. But I think the encouraging thing of those guys understand that, hey, this is still a process. We are still working to earn that right to win games. We are still getting better. There's a lot of improvement that needs to be made. And those guys just continue to work, knowing that, hey, as long as we keep doing the right things, at some point it is, you know, going to pay off. Now, Yeah, I've learned a lot about just FCS level football, the conference, the UAC, and I mean we have played a lot of good football teams, and there are a lot of really good players out there on on the teams that we face. So again, we have a lot of development that we need as a roster in terms of size, strength, speed. Um, I think we need to continue to improve as football players and just with our fundamental techniques. I mean, blocking, tackling, getting off blocks, finishing blocks, throwing, catching, running routes, all that kind of stuff. And that's why, at this point, yeah, we're not getting the results that we would like in terms of the score each week. But I mean, guys are improving, they're getting better. And all we can do is just continue to push, continue to work hard. And my big message to the team is you've got to love playing football. It's got to show that you love playing football, because anytime you care about something and you love something, you're going to give it your all. You're going to give it your best effort. And that's how we're going to improve. I think myself and as a coaching staff, yes, we've identified a lot of things along the way that we have got to do a better job of incorporating in the off season. And we're set to go about doing that. But yeah, like you said, we are very focused on these last last 3 games that we've got. We think we're close. You look at the last 2 games, we're close, and we got to finish, because anytime you can get a win, that feels so much better, and it just really kind of confirms that hey, you're on the right path, and that's what we need right now. So we're gonna push as hard as we can these last 3 weeks to do whatever it takes to try to find a way to get a win.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Coach? All right, not hearing any, we will close out today's press conference. One more reminder that with the bye week next week, we will not have a press conference or any official media availability. If you'd like to talk to Coach or any of the student athletes during the bye week, please let me know. Our next press conference will be on Tuesday, November the 12th at 10 a.m. ahead of our home finale against West Georgia. So thanks everybody for being on here today. We'll see you on Saturday. Thank you, Coach.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Coach.
Thanks, Coach.